Hey internet, Jim at Tech Loving. How you doing today? It is minus like 45 here. It's cold. Uh, anyway, I'll just show you a couple of things today. Quick video. Um, this is a 3080 10 gigabyte Aorus Extreme graphics card. So it's got the screen on it. Uh, it's the size of a 4090. It's huge. When I got this card, the the GPU temperature and the distance between the GPU temperature and the hotspot, the gap was almost 30 degrees. So right now it's running at like 54. It would have been 84 on the hotspot, but it was hotter than that. So took it apart and it's been repasted. It wasn't repasted, but it was PTM 7950 on the core. And the memory temperature was very high too. It was around 104, 105 degrees. I'm down to 82 now. And basically the thermal pads were starting to leak a bit. So I replaced all the thermal pads. So there's new thermal pads on the memory and PTM 7950 on the core. And now the card is much better, much better. It has a dual bias, so it's running in the overclocked mode, or what they call overclocked mode. So anyway, that's that. So I'm happy with the performance of the card now. Let me just quit out of heaven here. Show you a couple of things. You know, with the price of drives now. I mean, we all kind of went the other way, right? We went from hard drives to NVMe's and SSDs, and now we're running into a storage issue. Well, we never had really enough space on SSDs and NVMe's. They were affordable. They're not affordable anymore, so we've gone back to hard drives, it seems. So using an NVMe as the OS drive, and then having a secondary drive to save money, put in a hard drive, 4 terabyte, 8 terabyte. You can probably afford that, right? Instead of paying the same amount for a second SSD of maybe 1 or 2 terabytes. So you need storage space. You have lots of games. I'll show you some ways on Windows that you can kind of make this happen and leave space on your C drive. So the first thing we want to do is we want to right click the little square down here in the left corner. And we're going to go to File Explorer, this right here. Click on that. Right click on your Downloads folder. Go to Properties. Select Location. And right here you can see the location where it's stored, right? Your Downloads folder. And now they're stored on your C drive. So you can move this. So you can click Move here. You're going to select your drive in the left pane. You can select your, in this case, it would be the D drive. And then you're going to select a folder. Here I've got one called New Folder. You select the folder. It automatically populates down here. And then you just go Select Folder. Click Select Folder and all your downloads will be moved to the new drive. So whatever drive you have, D drive, E drive, whatever, and it'll be seamless. When you go to downloads in Windows Explorer, nothing will change. You're still going to see your downloads. They're not going to be in the same place, right? They're going to be in the D. Tip number 2 for Windows. Click in the little search bar here. Type in storage. Select the top one. It's going to come up as the top one, storage settings. And I'll just move this over from, it's on another screen right now. Move it over to here. So you can click on your temporary files here. And just whatever's checked, just leave it like that. And you can click on remove files and continue. And it's just going to purge some of the temporary files and whatnot that may be sitting around there. Or I'll just get out of here. I'll go back. So I'm back in where I was initially, and you can go down to advanced storage settings, click on that, and then you can scroll down to where new content is saved. So all your new apps, you can click on the drop down and select your drive, whatever it may be, and then click apply. You can do them, yeah, you can do one at a time or do them all at once. Although you'll have to apply everyone where your new documents are saved, same thing. New music, new movies, and change where you store your offline maps. And then you just click apply on all of them and it will apply that. And so you'll free up some space on your C drive by storing stuff on your larger drives that you're not, you don't have a problem with. And I suggest, like, if you stopped playing a game, maybe move that game. If you're using Steam, you can move games in Steam to a different drive. You can have multiple. You can select. You can have multiple drives in there and select the one that you want to use, and where it stores new files. And then, so if you downloaded a new game, maybe store it on your hard drive. Hard drive is going to be slower when you're playing the game, so then you can actually move that game to your C drive through Steam, and then play the game, and then move it back or leave it on your C drive. Just only keep a few games on your C drive, so you don't use all the storage space with Steam, right? So maybe have Steam default to save everything to a different drive. And then when you go to play the game, you can either try and play it off the hard drive. If your hard drive is fast enough, it probably isn't. And then you can move the one game you're playing, you can move it over to your C drive, to a Steam library on C, because you can have multiple libraries for that. So there's just a couple of Windows tips for you to do that stuff. I'll show you what this massive 3080 looks like. So it's a pretty big card, and it's got the screen over there, right there, upside down, but I can't get it from another angle. It's a pretty big card, so I'm pretty pleased with that because it's working pretty well now that I've repasted it. Anyway, lots of stuff going on, isn't there? Oh, I better put you back here. Lots of stuff going on in the tech world. Everybody complaining about everything. Yeah, especially when it comes to RAM and stuff like that. But I'm just waiting for AI to crash, and we all know it's going to crash. I think Sam Altman is maybe brothers with Sam Bankman-Fried, because they're both going to end up being scammers. OpenAI is going to run out of money, and they're going to go bankrupt, and then just like .com, AI is going to come crashing to the ground too. On another note, speaking of AI, and a lot of people kind of hate Windows because of in-your-face AI that you never asked for. And some of it is nice. I like it in Google Chrome. It's not always right, but I do like it. But I do have. So there's a couple of other ways. Like, Windows is pretty bloated now, and that's unfortunate, right? That it's so bloated. But I'm going to grab a couple of things here and show you something. So these are my Windows installs, and I'm starting to install them. So you can download Windows IoT Enterprise. You can probably see that. So it's Windows IoT Enterprise LTSC. This is Windows 11. LTSC means long-term something. I'm not sure what the other two are. But so you can get it in Windows 11, and it is basically, as far as I'm concerned, it's the way Windows should be. It's pretty much a bare bones Windows. It has nothing. Literally nothing. It has Microsoft Edge, but there's no Cortana, there's no Recall, there's no AI, there's absolutely nothing in it. And you can download the Windows modules if you want to install. You can get them from GitHub, where you, if you want, like, you can download the Windows Store, install the store, and then you can start installing apps that you want, not that Microsoft wants you to have. And so far, I've tested it, and I've had no issues whatsoever. It's much faster for gaming because it doesn't have all those everything running in the background, all that overhead. And what I just downloaded on this little stick here, although it has nothing on it, well, it has Windows 10 IoT Enterprise long term. So you have support until 20. Nobody quote me on this, but I think it's well past 2030, maybe 2035. You have Windows support on here, so you still get support, and it's Windows 10 IoT Enterprise. I have not tried it yet, but I am going to install it on something and see how that works, and get back to you on that. So there's a lot of hate out there for Windows 11 right now, and how it may be justified. But these are the two workarounds. And what I think, if Microsoft would have bought out Windows like this, bare bones Windows, and you add what you want to add, that would have been when they would have got their 60% adoption after 30, 45 days. They would have got it, because it would have been a joy to use, right? Because you build it yourself. They're not telling you. People are getting tired of corporations telling them what to do, right? Like 1984 all over again. Well, it never came. I'm talking the movie. But we're getting tired of that. We want to do what we want to do. We're all individuals. So you can set up Windows the way you wanted to. And if Windows was like that, if they would have brought out Windows 11 and it was, hey, build your own Windows, that would have been extremely popular, but they didn't do that. But I'm just saying there are ways, and you can even go back to Windows 10. I know there's a lot of gamers who swear to this day, and they're probably right, that Windows 10 was a much faster gaming OS than Windows 11. And I think that's proven that it is. But I'm sure Windows 11 IoT, being bare bones, would be probably faster than Windows 10. But now I've downloaded the Windows 10 IoT, and a lot of people just liked Windows 10. So that might even be a better option. You know, if you don't want to go to Linux, I don't care what anybody says, the learning curve is difficult for somebody who's been on Windows for 20 years. You know, and you grew up on Windows, it's pretty hard to switch, and then everything around you is all Windows. It's pretty hard to switch. It's a tough learning curve, regardless of Zorin OS or whatever it may be. I don't use Linux. I've tried, and I don't have time to learn. And there's a bunch of things that don't work really well on Linux. If it was it's a lot easier transition than it used to be, depending on the version or build or whatever they call it of Linux that you use. But it still remains a learning curve. So if you don't want to go there, and you're caught between a rock and a hard place because you don't like Windows 11, try the IoT. Download it. It's hard to find. You just got to search for it. And Microsoft will have a trial version, but you don't want the trial version. You want the full version. It is available out there. You can find it. I found it. And try that. And try gaming on that, and I think you'll see a huge performance improvement by doing that, by going to that Windows. So anyway, yeah, what else have I got to talk about? I don't know. I'm very busy. This is the busiest after Christmas I've ever had. It's usually pretty slow in January, but oh God, I'm just run off my feet building systems and selling systems. I only have like 2 systems here. That's it. That's probably the least I've ever had fully built system is 2. I usually have 5 or 6 ready to go. But I've got lots that I have to build, they're all ready to go, but I just haven't got there yet. And now I have people contacting me to build their systems. So they're buying the components and I just charge them a build fee. I'm fine with that. Doesn't cost me a penny that way. But I have been buying up a lot of graphics cards because I do have a lot of budget builds to take care of. And I, like NVIDIA, I'm using 3060 Ti's. And by the way, I tested a 3060 12 gig, right? Because we're all talking about memory on our graphics card and we should have a pile of it. So I tested a 3060 12 gig against a 3060 Ti 8 gig. So what if it's Ti? It's still an 8 gig card, right? And the difference between the 3060, the 12 gig, the 3060 and the 3060 Ti is the 3060 Ti has a wider bus. I think it's a 284-bit bus as opposed to a smaller bus on the 3060. I'm not going to pretend to know off the top of my head what it is, but there's a lot of differences between the cards, shaders, etc., etc. Let me just bring up something here. Shaders, ROPs, and actually the 3060 8 gig is a faster card. It's about 20% faster than the 3060 12 gig. So the 3060 Ti 8 gig is about 20% faster than the 3060 12 gig. That was interesting. I didn't know that, but it is. So I buy a lot of 3060s, 6700 XT, 6800 XT for some of the lower budget builds, the lower end builds. I've gone back to building quite a few AM4s. I'm building AM4 because I have way too much memory, way too much DDR4, and because it's a little bit cheaper, right? But man, I'm really hoping that prices come down, because even I'm using hard drives now as secondary and third drives. I'm not putting two NVMe's in a rig anymore. People want to do that, they can put in their own. I try to put 2 terabytes, and I'm always on the lookout for NVMe's at a decent price. Hard to find. They're really expensive now. It's just crazy. I think I paid $80, $85 Canadian for a 480 gig SSD. That's just ridiculous. Like, they got to do something about this, you know. And we can't count on the governments to move in because they're in bed with all the tech giants, because they're all gung-ho high on AI. And I'm not bailing them out. And everybody should fight against that. If the government, if Sam Altman goes to the government and wants a bailout, tell him to go and fuck himself. Yeah, you got yourself into the mess, you can get yourself out. Because I'm hoping that the taxpayer doesn't end up having to bail out these AI companies. As for NVIDIA, Micron, boycott them. I know it's hard to boycott NVIDIA, but you know what? Don't buy their new cards. Go to the used market, buy used cards. Nothing wrong with a used card. I buy them all the time. I tear them down. I repaste them. Learn how to do something. And they're as good as new. I clean them, I repaste them. And they're great cards. So, you know, we need to send a message to NVIDIA. We need to send a message to the memory manufacturers. Like, because we made their business. Gamers made their business. We made NVIDIA what it is today. And NVIDIA turned their back on us. Micron turned their back on us. And left us paying an exorbitant amount for RAM, just uncalled for. Lucky, like I said, luckily I had a lot in stock at old prices. I did get lucky and I bought 2 64 gig kits of DDR5, DDR5 6400, and I got them and they're RGB kits, and I got them for $500 each per kit. So today's price is over 1,000. It's about 1,200 on Amazon Canadian, 1,200 Canadian for a 64 gig kit. I got that kit for $500. I got 2 kits for $1,000. So that was a pretty good deal. But You know, and now look at all the YouTubers. Now they're saying, yeah, 16 gigs okay. Well, just a few short months ago, they were all saying that, hey, 32 gig is what you need for gaming, da 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 da. And now they're changing their tune. Hypocrite bastards. And that's what they are, hypocrites. I said at the time, you don't need 32 gig to game with. And I was proven right. I think it was Jay's 2 cents who just tested 32 against 16 and found little to no difference between 16 gig and 32 gig in gaming. There was a difference in a few games, not very many, where there was a difference. But the difference in performance between 16 and 32 in gaming was minimal at best. And you heard it here. I'm the one that said that months ago that people don't need 32 gig of RAM. It's overkill. And it was at the time. And of course, everybody was saying, no, no, you need 32. And now they've changed their tune that RAM prices are so high. Now they're saying, hey, you know what? 16 gig is okay, you know, until the prices come down. So, yeah, that's hypocritical to me. So, middle finger to salute to all those people, all those YouTubers who said, who are pushing the 32 gig and now they're back to 16. Anyway, yeah, that's all I got to say. This is Jim Tech11. Have a good winter. If you're freezing cold, well, I'm with you on that one. If you're not, good for you. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.